Thor Ragnarok, or as it's soon going to become known in the porn community, Thor Ragnarok, is directed by Titty. No wait, it's Taiwai Titty. It's Tai Titty. Tawidi? Tuwudi. Tai Kai Chi. Like, I was doomed to mispronounce this guy's name from the moment I heard who was directing this film, so I'm just gonna call him Tai or Titty. I'm just gonna call him Tai Titty for the rest of this review. I'm very sorry, sir, but I'm very bad with names, and I can't remember your name. Anyway, it's directed by him, and this is the third Thor film in the MCU, and this is the, I don't know, 25,000th MCU film that we've had, or at least 16th. This film once again stars Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Tom Hiddleston is back as Loki. You've got Cate Blanchett playing the villain Hela in this movie. And also Mark Ruffalo shows up as the Hulk. Thor Ragnarok is a comic that is basically built around the demise of Asgard, the destruction of the Asgardians, the death of the gods. It's pretty much apocalypse for Thor's homeland and everyone in it. In the movie, they take this concept and they apply it to a broader range buddy cop comedy type of feel. Thor gets trapped on this planet, he runs into Hulk, and he has to try to get to Asgard because Hela, the goddess of death, is trying to wreak havoc on Asgard, and she's trying to destroy Asgard. And so Thor needs to figure out a way to work together with Hulk to get off this planet so that they can go to Asgard and somehow find a way to stop the goddess of death. I'm not gonna lie, if this movie did nothing else, like if this movie failed at pretty much everything else, the one thing that it did not fail at is entertainment value. If all this movie was trying to do was set out to entertain you and give you a fun time at the movies, well, guess what? It executed its game plan. I can't deny that this is an entertaining movie. Doesn't mean I was entertained for all of it. Doesn't even mean that I enjoyed all of it. What I can say, though, is that I can't really walk out of this movie going, well, that wasn't entertaining. That was boring. No, this movie hits you with the entertainment factor. The action sequences and the cinematography, probably better than any of the other Thor movies that have come before it. I'm somebody who hasn't been overly impressed with the action sequences from the other Thor movies. They're okay. They're alright. But in this movie, Tai Titty, he does a really good job at giving these guys a chance to be badasses. Thor is way more of a badass in this movie than he was in the previous films. Hulk was a badass in this movie. Valkyrie was a badass in this movie, played by an actress that I, once again, can't remember her name. Really, a lot of people in this movie kicked ass, and I think that the action sequences in general were filmed better. The CGI was better during these action scenes. This movie is definitely going for it in terms of the humor. It takes everything that you thought you knew about Thor from the previous movies, and it tries to apply a more comedic touch to it. For me, that personally has some mixed results, but overall, I can't deny there were definitely a few scenes in this movie where I was laughing my ass off. In particular, some of the interactions between Loki and Thor, I mean, those guys have always had great chemistry. Those guys have always been those great Shakespearean brothers with a lot of great stuff between them, both emotionally and from a comedy standpoint. So got some funny moments between Thor and Hulk. In particular, when Thor and Hulk first run into each other, there is some really funny shit that goes on in that fight that you saw in the trailer. I'm just gonna say that. That was probably the part of the movie that I laughed the hardest at. I also gotta single out Cate Blanchett as Hela. Cate Blanchett does a really good job at playing a really evil woman. So she oozes evil in every scene that she's in this movie. She's a brilliant actress, and how old is this chick again? She's like, I don't know, 60 or something, but somehow she still looks like she's 25. I don't know how Cate Blanchett has mastered the art of immortality, but I don't know. Maybe she's the evil witch from Snow White and the Huntsman, and she just keeps herself looking young by sucking off everybody else. Wow, that didn't sound right at all. Let me pause and rewind that. I'm not saying Cate Blanchett sucks people off to get younger. I'm saying that somehow she has mastered the art of being younger by possibly draining the life force from other people. But I was so conflicted walking out of this movie because, listen, I'm not a huge Thor fan, but I am a big fan of the Thor Ragnarok comic, and usually when I'm comparing source material to the media that it's being portrayed in, I try to separate it. I try to go, you know what, artistic freedom, they can take license, they can change some shit, as long as it works for the movie. And I'm kind of torn because the Thor Ragnarok comic, the one that I love, the one that I read, this movie doesn't really feel like Thor Ragnarok, and that's probably the biggest criticism that I can have of a movie called Thor Ragnarok, is that it doesn't really feel like Thor Ragnarok. The tension and the stakes aren't really there, and when they are there, the movie, in my opinion, compromises the tension and the stakes and the elevated gravity of the situation by throwing in another joke. I mean, I'm pretty sure this movie can't go like 2 or 3 minutes without shoving another joke down your throat. Don't get me wrong, some of those jokes are funny, and I laughed at some of them, but sometimes I feel like it was a clashing of tones. I feel like part part of the movie is trying to be an apocalyptic end of days for Asgardians. It's supposed to be this big epic thing. And the other part of the movie is kind of this self-contained comedy that takes place on another planet, and there's just a whole bunch of jokes being thrown at you. Probably loosely about 50 jokes per minute. I mean, that's what it felt like at times. It felt like improv at the comedy theater, because if there wasn't a joke being thrown at you, there was, you know, really cool 80s music playing while a really epic action sequence is going. And so you feel like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this. This has been called the most hilarious Marvel movie ever. For me, I laughed a few times, but I really don't think the movie is as funny as other people made it out to be. But again, humor is a subjective thing. That could just be me. And then there are some other instances in this movie of lazy storytelling, where I feel like there are characters from previous films who are either in this movie or not in this movie, and their absence or lack thereof is kind of unexplained in a way. There are things that happen in this movie that have very poor explanations. There are things that happen in this movie where you feel like it's glossed over and it's very hasty storytelling. There are characters from previous movies, there are characters from this movie, and you feel like things just kind of happen around their characters. I can't really spoil it. And they didn't really flesh out some of the arcs and some of the characters and some of the story elements, not just from previous movies, but from this movie that could have used a little bit more attention, but instead they sacrificed that to tell another joke. I don't want to make it seem like I'm bitching about Thor Ragnarok. I mean, the movie, again, is entertaining, and if that's all you wanted, if that's all you're going into this movie for, mission accomplished. The movie is entertaining. I feel like the flaws of the movie in this case kind of weigh with the positives, because for every moment in this movie that I liked or I smiled, there was another moment in this movie that I rolled my eyes at or I hated, and so I can't really in good conscience say that this movie is anything better than average. As much as it pains me to say this, Thor Ragnarok, while entertaining, is an average movie. Right in the Fortress of Solitude. So I hope everybody else loves it. I didn't personally love it, but I'm rooting for the movie to do it big at the box office. So if you have seen Thor Ragnarok, what is your favorite Thor movie right now? Don't say Thor Ragnarok. That's the easiest one. Come on, be different. Please comment below and let me know, and like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. Follow me on Twitter at Superfan_K. I'm pretty sure that's the Twitter handle. And if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.